Here on Two Crazy Ketos, we do different things like recipe videos and we do product reviews. We talk about various keto topics, and every Monday we go live on Keto Beyond the Couch because life exists beyond the couch.
You can find us in different social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And we have a website, which is twocrazyketos.com, and that's where you're going to find all of our different recipes.
No sound.
Now, we do upload at least 5 new videos every single week, so make sure you subscribe to our channel.
And that way, every single time we upload a new video, no matter what we're doing, you'll be alerted to it.
Yeah, my fingers got wet, and I touched the touchpad.
And he was like, oh, I got the thing wet.
And I guess I wiped it, and that affected the slides that show up.
So we're going to have a policy like we do when we're going to church, okay? So no talking on the way to church, because usually for whatever reason, that's
in an argument.
That's when the whole family gets into a fight, right? So no moving or doing anything before the live stream starts.
Good luck with that one.
That's the new goal.
So welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch. If you are new here, Keto Beyond the Couch is all about subscribers. We love to celebrate wins, answer questions and comments from the previous week that showed up in our Facebook group, our Mighty Networks group, as well as last week's Keto Beyond the Couch. Now, the way we do this, if you're new here, and I know if you're not new here, you've heard this a million times, but we go through our normal Keto Beyond the Couch. We kind of don't pay too much attention to the chat unless something really jumps out at me.
Something jumped out at me, Joe.
Okay, well, just wait a second. Okay, and then what we do is we address the chat in the last 10 or 15 minutes. So if you have a good question, go ahead and hold off to there. Or you can use the super chat function, which is the little $ that is in the chat window. That does help support the channel, which we greatly appreciate. And then it also highlights our screen and lets us know you have a question.
Okay, so Rush is not having it anymore. 1,000 times he's asked, not been answered. What is the best flavor of keto bread?
As he said, the one that's in stock.
One that's in stock.
No, I think he's saying, which one is it? The one that's in stock.
Oh, okay. I thought he was wanting us to answer it.
So here's the thing. If you're new for Keto Bread, they're a small company.
Yeah.
Everything is made in-house. They don't send anything out to a co-packer. And so they make a flavor, and then when they're done making that flavor, they make a run of a new flavor, and they're constantly growing. So flavors sell out. If you saw our post yesterday, I don't even know if they're sold out already, but they made a special flavor just for KetoCon called Blueberry Muffin. The only way you knew about it was if you were subscribed to Robert's 7 Set Sunday. It's his weekly newsletter that he sends out, or it's a cool little newsletter. So that's how you knew about it. Or if you are following us on Mighty Networks or Facebook, because we put a post up in there when he said it was available.
Right.
So they said they had a few left. I can look and see if there's any left. He said he had a few left, and so he put them up for sale. And I'm excited about it because Blueberry Muffin is
I love Blueberry Muffin
right up our
flavor.
alley. Let me see. KetoBrick.com. Shop.
We gonna see. Is it still available? There it is. I see the little picture.
Sold out.
Sold out.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's why we put up the post.
So Rush is going to tell you, don't go for Blueberry Muffin because you'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
But like another one that's in stock.
If you're going to Keto Brick, you'll get to try it. If you're going to KetoCon, you'll get to try it. Because that's what he made them for, KetoCon.
You know what I'm getting excited about? KetoCon's almost here, and that means this week is the week of hugs, Joe.
I haven't even started packing.
I'm getting all the hugs.
You've been packed for 2 weeks.
I have, because I've been very excited.
Yeah.
I've been super, super excited.
I need to start packing. With regards to Keto Brick, I do want to mention, somebody had put a comment up, this is a highly processed food. It's not.
It really isn't.
If you know Robert at all, you know he won't put anything in his body that's highly processed.
No.
It's a combination of some simple ingredients. You could actually make them at home yourself if you can figure out the right ratios that he's using. It's just like Keto Chow. Chris still has the original recipe for Keto Chow on the website. If you want to make Keto Chow on your own, you won't be able to duplicate what you have now.
Right.
But he has the original recipe up there. Saying that something like that is highly processed is saying, like, if you make a recipe in your house that uses more than one ingredient is highly... If you make...
Artisanal soap.
If you make a beef dish and add a bunch of spices and maybe some heavy cream or something, well, then technically you could say that's highly processed if you want to. But technically, if you go to the store and buy beef it's processed.
It is processed
It
because
is
you
processed.
ain't eating it right off the cow.
It's been slaughtered, and it's been butchered, and it's been aged, and then you cook it. Thus, it's processed. So
It's a process.
That's just our personal opinion, but it's not for everybody. They're definitely, people buy them, they think they're a candy bar. They're not.
They're not a candy bar.
They're a meal replacement bar, and I love them because they really give me a bunch of energy when I'm on the go. I bring them diving. I eat them like when I'm going to a game as like one of my meals. I absolutely love them, and we always travel with them.
Always.
You ready? Want to get into Keto Beyond the Couch?
Let's do it.
We're going to start off with our Keto College Adjunct Professor of the Week. This post was from Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
It was a little meme and said, life is so much simpler when you stop explaining yourself to people and just do what works for you.
Wow. Wow. You're right. If you feel like you are expending a lot of energy telling the same person in your life why you are eating this way, like you're almost like having to apologize. Like in order to stay in this friendship or this relationship, you have to like pay the penance of explaining yourself and like exhausting yourself with like all of their questions, only for them to at the end be like, this is stupid or dumb. Like, stop doing that. This is the week that we let that go. And sometimes it's really hard to say something. You're not being rude when you're like, I just don't feel like explaining myself anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to have to agree to disagree on this subject. Let's talk about something else because clearly we all ain't on the same page and it just tires me out, tires you out. It's not good for our relationship. So, yeah, maybe this is a week to just let that go.
Jackie, thank you very much for the $2 super chat. She said we need a petition to make Bell's Brownie a staple.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I know that it's probably a much more expensive brick to make because it's a collaboration with another company. And I can't wait for it to come back.
Yeah.
I currently, Rachel likes to make pucks for herself.
I do like pucks.
Whereas I like to just eat the brick. I feel I eat less if I eat the brick, which sounds weird. But I can look at it and go, okay, I can only have half of this brick. I can only have a quarter of the brick. But if I do the pucks, like I'll drive by the pucks.
I do
drive-bys with pucks.
I need to get, Shelly, if you're here, I need to get the silicone pucks that Shelly has that are like the heart. That, like, she's meal prep queen. And I love seeing, not Heath and Shelly, the other Shelly.
Yeah.
With that, hopefully I will get to see her with her pigtails with Lynette at KetoCon.
Always.
But she always has, like, the silicone molds that are heart shape. And I just think that is just, like, a little love note to yourself. I love that.
So anyway, back to the Bell's Brownie. I have those hidden from Rachel.
Do you see what I have to live with?
Okay, let's jump right in. Our first subscriber of the week is Adrian.
Hi, Adrian.
Adrian said, non-scale victory, lifestyle milestone. Today is the last day of taking prescription antidepressant medication under the supervision of my doctor and over the appropriate period of time. Thank you for that. For many years, I've dealt with mental health challenges, anger, depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. When I began my keto journey about 1 year ago, it was also my intention to improve my mental health and eliminate these medications from my life.
Wow.
I cannot exclusively give credit to keto for this success, but I can say keto and the keto community helped me to propel in the right direction of a healthier lifestyle.
So stinking true. What a victory. Adrian, I am so stinking excited for you. And I love the fact that we're talking about this situation more. We're not just talking about like keto for diabetes or keto for, heart related issues, but like keto for mental health, for brain health, for brain energy. And what I love is it took me a couple of years to even think about this as something that would speak into my anxiety and my depression, almost just like tripped over figuring that out. And I find that more and more people are coming to think of like, hey, maybe nutrition could help in this way. And that makes me so stinking excited because I see Adrian was like a year ago thought like maybe this is something that I could utilize. So I'm so excited for you and for all of the others that are going to be blessed by this story that you've shared.
Yeah. Now, again, we tell people all the time, please share your story.
Yes, please.
Your story is so important. And I know a lot of times they're like, oh, well, nobody really cares. People care. They want to, number one, they want to celebrate with you. But more importantly, you don't understand how many people are out there that think they're alone. They think that nobody else understands. Nobody else is on medication trying to get off of it. And when you share your story, people are like, oh, maybe I can do that too. So it's really important. And your story doesn't have to be, I lost 100 pounds.
No.
Your story could be something like, I got off of medication. Your story could be something as simple as, for the first time in my life, I've gone 5 days without sugar.
Right.
Right? Those are important stories, and they address struggles that a lot of people have that maybe we don't think they have. So please jump into our Mighty Networks group, jump into our Facebook family group, and share your story. It's really, really important. The next one we have is from Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa.
Alyssa said, y'all, I went to my aunt's house this weekend. I haven't seen her since before I started keto 8 months and 55 pounds ago.
Wow.
The last time I saw her, I was in a 3X, and now I wear a large.
Huge, like
Not
visually.
one single person noticed my weight
What?
loss. Not my aunt, my uncle, or my 2 cousins. The air conditioner repairman noticed I lost weight when I had only lost 15 pounds. I had to confirm with my mother that my aunt had definitely had cataract surgery.
Wow. Well, Alyssa.
I'm just celebrating the 8 months and 55 pounds.
Yes, that is awesome. And I am so glad that you shared this because you're giving us the opportunity to take note that this happened and we don't miss it.
Right.
You know, other people that maybe, and that is a challenge when you think to yourself, man, I really want my family to be on board. I really want my closest friends, maybe the coworkers that I see all the time to really celebrate some success that I've had. And it's hard to get ourselves around the thought that maybe it's going to be strangers, like these 2 crazy ketos that are going to be cheerleaders for me and not the people closest to me.
Right. But that's okay.
But it is okay. And we have found and made the closest friends of our lives within this keto community.
Closest friend, they're my only friends.
And not in the areas of local that I thought that we would.
Yep. And
right?
Yesterday, we recorded a podcast for Dr. Tony Hampton, which I'm super excited about that. We're going to be on his channel. I think he said they're trying to get it up next Friday.
Right. Not this one, but the next one.
And then he's going to come on our podcast, both podcast and video, when we get back from KetoCon. And these are some of the things we discussed, like why is community so important? And one of the things is a lot of times our friends, our family members, our coworkers, or doctors, they're not on the same page. And we need somebody to help lift us up so we keep going. And here's the thing, and we talked about this with Bronson and Natalie. Sometimes the people closest to us are against us, number one, because they're afraid.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's because if they make a comment of how well you're doing or that this really works, that means they have to look inwards and go, maybe I should do this,
and
they don't want to.
Right.
So what's the easiest way to make yourself feel better? Tear down somebody else.
Yeah, or just discourage, because if
that's why we watch some of these shows like 600 Pound Life. I mean, if you really want to be honest, and I know at least this was the case for me.
This was the case for me.
When I used to watch my 600 Pound Life, and I think that what that Dr. Now is doing is great work.
Yeah.
But I watch that because I could look at that and go,
I'm not there yet.
I'm not there, so I'm doing well.
Exactly, and I don't have to fix things. I mean, we would watch the show eating some of the worst meals of the week.
Yeah.
As if it was like, well, see, I don't have to deal with my stuff yet. So I'm going to sit and eat. And
I'm doing good.
We were eating like fools and then watching that.
We used to watch that on our Sunday binges.
Talk about pride.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was a mess. We were a mess.
Let's take a quick fade to black and come back with some comments.
We're back. And Joe's still not packed.
No, I'm not packed. I wanted to mention something. Is anybody interested in a review of these hard ketones? We got a few cans of this, and it is like a keto type of alcohol, but not really an alcohol.
Right.
Because it doesn't have ethanol in it. And I actually have a Zoom call set up with the creator later on. I know that Mike Mutzel has talked about it as well as a couple of other people, but I'm curious is anybody interested in a review of this? Because we've talked about in the past before how like alcohol, even zero carb alcohol like gin and vodka and stuff, will affect your journey if you're trying to lose weight. It will kick you out of ketosis regardless of what the ketone meter says. And this acts a little bit differently. So let us know in the comments section if it is something you would like to know more about. Are you ready? Let's jump into the first comment from last week. It's from Alta.
Hi, Alta.
Said in a previous video, y'all responded to one of my comments asking the question, how would I feel if I never lose any weight? Y'all touched on this again today. At 67, I'm trying to fully understand how that can be possible when you're trying to do everything right. I try to watch mostly medical professionals who teach the science behind diabetes. I am like the person who commented in the chat. I'm learning to be happy with the results of my efforts, even if I never lose another pound. I have lost some and also have been able to scale down on medications because of this lifestyle. Thanks for all you do in this community.
And I'm going to tell you, thank you for sharing this comment, because you're not alone if it's really hard for you to get to that place where you're like, if I never lose a pound anymore, I will still continue in this life. To get your mindset that like keto is for me, I eat keto or carnivore, however you identify, and like this is forever and no longer a situation where I have to wake up every morning and expend the mental energy to decide if I'm going to continue doing this based on what I'm getting back as feedback on the scale. It is hard to come to that moment. It really is for such a long time. Me and Joe wouldn't even buy pants if it didn't say the size that we wanted, right? Like there's times where we would lean into different brands of clothing because maybe I was one size in some pair of jeans and then I was a smaller size in this pair of jeans because the way that that line would run. And I'd be like, I am only gonna wear jeans that say the number that I want. Now, was I any different? I was the same person in either set of jeans, but it was like, I'm not going to be satisfied until I see the number. So like getting past that and being able to be like, you know what? I'm having so many other health results and I feel good in my body that finally I'm going to put that weight loss on the back burner.
Yeah. Jesse said I'm horrible at summarizing, so that's why I don't share my story. I would run on with things that are totally irrelevant. Who cares?
Share it.
Share it anyway.
Who cares?
And I mean, even if it's too long to put on Keto Beyond the Couch, sometimes I cut it up.
Yeah.
Like I'll pull out the relevant things.
We don't want to miss out.
It's not about content.
That's right.
It's not about content. It's about helping other people. And so, okay.
I want to get to know Jesse. Okay. I want to know what your story is.
I got it. We've talked about this in the past, but Saturday we went diving. I got Rachel to jump off of a boat. We did 4 dives. I did 4. Rachel did 2. The second 2, she was exhausted because diving is exhausting.
Woo.
I got buddied up, and I'm now learning, say no. I got buddied up with an instructor who was taking 4 students down. And being that I'm a search and rescue diver, I said to him, I'll kind of act as a guide and stay behind to make sure that your students are okay. We jumped in the water. The visibility out on the deeper part where we were was horrible because of all the rain we've had, and we had a tide coming in. It was a bad instructor. And I sat there thinking to myself, this isn't my group. I should just kind of go off and do my own thing. But then I started going, okay, I'm a rescue diver, and I can't unsee what I know now. It would be better if I didn't know anything about how to help people and how to bring them back down and how to make sure that they're safe and how to notice when somebody's having a problem, fine. But now I know that. So I feel like it's my responsibility to help these people that I see struggling. And it's the same thing here in keto. If you're having success with anything, it's your responsibility to help other people now.
Yeah.
Right? You can't unsee it. You can't unsee when you, I go into the grocery store and I see people who are struggling and I so want to grab them and go, I've got an option. But they haven't invited me into the situation.
That's true.
But if they're in our group, They've invited you into the situation. So please share your story. It's your responsibility to help people within the community, not necessarily go out and grab everybody and be like, I've got the answer for you.
Right.
But if they're in the group, that they're already looking for the answer.
We want to hear it.
Right? Okay, next one is from Angela.
Hey, Angela, I'm at 145 pounds. It took me 10 years to get my health markers, A1C 4.7, FSB 89, fasting insulin 4.9, HDL 66, triglycerides 98. According to the CDC, I am overweight by 9 to 15 pounds. Now, I also just want to make note really quickly, 10 years.
Yeah.
It was a 10-year process to get those numbers. I think
Yeah.
we're looking at like, how fast can we get there? But
Right.
10 years, thank you for that patience. However, body fat is at 25%.
That's awesome for a woman.
It is about health. The scale is not the boss of me. Thank the Lord. That is such great news. Nor is the literature. I can walk into the YMCA 5 days a week on crutches. I aqua jog 15 to 20 miles a week. I enjoy my life. I know I am healthy. I will be ketovore for the rest of my life, and I hope my life is a long dang time, to quote Dr. Berry. I love that.
Thank you for this post. And this
so good.
This is what we talked to Dr. Hampton about yesterday. We were talking to him. By the way, Dr. Hampton will be at Keto Orlando Summit and Keto Palooza.
Yes, do not miss him.
Super excited about that. But we were talking that a lot of the focus was the scale. Like, what do you do to not look at the scale? And one of the things that came up is, do you know that technically The Rock is obese?
Yes.
If you go by
height,
how much
age.
height, weight, age, he's obese. Would any of you say that The Rock is obese? I know I use him as an example a lot, but
I'm going to tell you too, the more doctors that we talk to, the more that I feel like they're asking us to get the plea out that everybody stop looking at the scale.
yeah.
Because it's challenging to them.
I mean, even Robert, I'm sorry.
Because they're trying to get people to stay on a plan, to get on a trajectory. So like if you're trying to deprescribe medicine, if you're trying to like help get people healthy, get them moving, when somebody sees a number they don't like on the scale, they want to stop everything.
Right.
They want to stop even the things that the doctors are asking of them.
Yeah.
And so it's like, let's help make these keto doctors and low carb friendly doctors, let's make their job easier and cooperate with them and trust the process.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, even Robert in his 7-set Sunday he put out yesterday, talking about week 2 on his road to his competition.
Yes.
And he said he weighs like something like 178 pounds. And I told him, Rachel's like, that little guy?
Yeah.
Right? 178. I bet you that they would say that he's overweight.
Based on
Right?
his height,
I'm 10 pounds away from him.
Right.
I don't look like him.
No.
Right?
I mean,
I'm taller than Robert.
And that's not a bad thing. He's trying to accomplish
But
something
it's
very
muscle,
specific.
and muscle weighs a lot. So that's why don't worry about the scale number. You might put 10 pounds on in your attempt to build muscle.
And I mean, Lord knows, this has been a long journey, Joe, to be okay with that.
Right. Next one is from Pearl.
Hey, Pearl.
I have been keto for about 20 months. I've lost 125 pounds, and I still have at least 80 more to lose.
Way to go.
The biggest reason I started keto is to rescue my body from diabetes that I had 20 years ago, for over 20 years.
Wow.
I've kept on keto for the rest of my life to prevent the diabetes from taking over my body again.
So good.
Diabetes was stealing my life from me. My doctors have been lowering my diabetic medications and hopefully will be permanently off of them.
That is such great news. First of all, congratulations, Pearl. That is incredible. That is fantastic news. And also, I love your name because I just love the name Pearl. I think that is such a beautiful name. But on top of that, the fact that you're like, I recognize that this sickness has stolen from me. It has robbed me. Like, I don't want these ailments robbing me anymore. I think about like what plantar fasciitis even robbed me of, how I didn't want to take walks, how I had to tap out of family, excursions early in the day because I'm like, my feet hurt too bad, my back hurts too bad, like the inflammation and the pain. What it cost me. I had to be on the sidelines of a lot of things because these things, these problems, these health issues were robbing me.
Right.
So I'm so thankful for keto and how I am able to take back, and Pearl is able to take back what rightfully belongs to her, and that is good health and enjoying your everyday life.
Yeah.
I love it.
Next one is from Leah.
Hey Lee, eucalyptus oil sorts out those grease stains. Oh, that's good to know, and that smells good. I keep it in a glass bottle with a dropper top and put a few drops on grease stains before I put it in the washing machine. Have never had an issue with colors running or anything else. I'm totally stealing that idea. I'm gonna write it down that I need to get eucalyptus oil while I am out getting hairspray, obviously, for KetoCon.
Beth wants to know, how tall are we? I am 6 foot.
And I am 5'7.5", and yes, I want credit for that half because I grew it.
Excuse me. Next one is from Tammy.
Hey Tammy. Hi Rachel and Joe. When you say to eat 100 grams of protein, is that 100 grams of protein per meal or per day? I'm trying to understand protein eating. Thank you. Great question,
So
Tammy.
when we say 100 grams of protein, you want to average about 100 grams of protein per day, minimum. 80 to 100 grams minimum. Now, if you're doing extended fasts, and it's one of the things we're going to be talking about today, if you're doing extended fast, on the day you're eating, you should be eating a lot.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so we call it you have a fast day, a feast day. So if you fast for 48 hours, especially if you're doing it on a regular basis, on your feast day, you're feasting. You're eating all day long. You don't do a 48 hours fast like some of the times, like when we, like that's what we talked about in that video the other day, where we're like, okay, when we're not hungry, we just don't eat. On those days that we do eat, we're not like, okay, I only eat one meal today. We're eating all day. We're going to eat 3 or 4 meals on that day.
And it's
knowing that we're now not going to eat the next day or the day after. But sometimes we will. When we're hungry, we eat. When we don't, we're hungry. And if you were to take everything that we're eating and you put it into a macro calculator and divide it by 7 days, I promise you, we are averaging well over 100 grams of protein. It's just that we may not be eating like more than 5 grams of protein on a day because we're not eating that day because we're not hungry. But then like the other day we ate, I think we each ate over 300 grams of protein in the day.
Yeah. Now, obviously, if you're somebody who's like, it's so hard for me to eat and I get full up so quickly, and sometimes people, say that, you may have to adjust your eating window. You may not be somebody that's going to utilize something like OMAD, or, you're going to fast even differently than we do. Y'all have seen my plate. If you think to yourself, boy, I could not eat that in a week, then probably you'll have to adjust and not be doing the same exact thing that I am doing, because you're not going to be able to get what you need into your body, right? Like, so you're going to have to eat differently. That's why we always want to lead with, you have to do what is sustainable for you, right? Like, it is not hard being Rachel. It is really hard trying to be Joe. Like, it is hard for me trying to be Chris Bear, right? And so if you try to be somebody else, you're just going to frustrate yourself, right? Needlessly. So you're going to try to look for what really works for you.
Yeah. I did see this before we go to a commercial. Jesse said, I saw a recent short video from Dr. Westman about fasting. He said you should be eating something every day. Thoughts? Dr. Westman is smarter than I am.
Yes,
I can only tell you what works for me. I can tell you that it depends on where you're at in your journey.
Yeah.
It depends on how much you're eating. We are much more comfortable eating a lot of food and then not eating when we're not hungry. I do tell people this, especially if you're starting off in your journey, don't even think about fasting.
Yeah.
If you're in the first 6 months of keto, don't think about fasting.
Right.
This is hard enough.
Transition from a
Eat
carb-fueled
when you're
life
hungry,
to fat
and that's
fuel.
why we tell you when you first get started, those first 2 or 4 weeks, don't count anything other than making sure you're keeping your carbs low. Eat as much as you want. Eat as many times a day as you want. You're going to have results. The more you do this, the more you're going to find, I'm just not that hungry.
Yeah.
No, but if you even want to look at what we're doing right now, technically we're having something every day because we are having coffee. I'm having coffee with some of the, what is that? The super creamer.
Yes, the keto brains.
And I have some, you have the keto brains plus the super creamer.
Yeah.
Right? And then I also put a tablespoon of butter in there. So I'm having a couple hundred calories here. Now, I think we are going to eat today because I'm a little hungry, but we just kind of go by. We're always having coffee, so we're always having something. We're not really doing any
dry
like water.
fast or...
Oh no, you'll never do a dry fast. Dry fast, you can't shower. Brush
I
your
got
teeth.
it. I got a shower.
So, but we're generally having something. Sometimes we will do a 24 or 48 hour water fast. Where
There
we're
is
only having
Joanna
water.
sharing. I never fasted until a year on keto.
Yeah, it's not
yeah.
something you need
So
to do
don't
right away.
feel pressured
Yeah.
to do that.
Let's take a quick fade to black and come back with the rest of the comments.
I'm glad that you're you, just to let you know. I'm glad that you are you.
Next one's from Jill.
Hey Jill, oh my gosh, I just watched the newest video. This spoke to me more than anything else I have watched. Well, thanks Jill. I knew that for me to continue to stay on keto, I needed to do it without weighing anything. I needed to live this lifestyle. I had started to become addicted to weighing everything, even to the point of only eating at places that I knew the macros to the foods I would order. I've gained back about 10 to 15 pounds, but I'm working through it. I am the only one in this home of 4 that has this lifestyle, and it is very hard to not eat to the clock. I need to talk to my husband and make changes for me. I know I eat just because everyone else is eating. I have just about cleaned the house of all the keto junk the last few months, so now it is time to heal me and stay focused on me. Thank you, Joe and Rachel, for everything. Jill, thank you so much for sharing that. I feel blessed to know that it did speak to somebody. I was very hesitant for us to share this because I'm always afraid that either we will offend somebody or that somebody will try to fast track their own journey by like just trying to replicate something somebody else is doing. Mm-hmm. So to know that it was a blessing to you, that makes me want to get up and keep going. That's what we want.
It's just do what works for you. And, sometimes, we have to have that hard conversation with our spouse going, and Rachel and I had to have the hard conversation that I'm not hungry when you're hungry all the time.
Well, I really hope...
And it makes it a little difficult with us, too, because obviously we want to film videos and stuff.
Well, but I really hope that it's not just that in the nutrition side of it, but I hope that maybe it speaks to somebody in a partnership or in a larger, you live with, multiple people, and you're like, I know that even if nobody else is on board, I got to do something about my sleep. Even if they're going to live like zombies, I cannot live like zombies anymore. I hope that somebody is like, if nobody else wants to go on a walk with me or like get moving, I'm going to do it because I think it's time. If everybody else is going to live in a pressure cooker of stress and measure success in life based on how much stress is on your plate, but I'm going to change things and I'm going to do things differently, then that would be a blessing to us as well, to know that, we helped in some way.
Yep. Next one's from Candy.
Hey, Candy.
I have a few questions, more of a curiosity than anything. I, too, have been trying to eat more intuitively. Is there a fear of not eating enough, if that is a thing? Because in the past, you mentioned Rachel under 8. Is eating to comfortably stuff preventing that? I've been eating to macros, and I think sometimes it messes with me, sort of like, as Joe says, if you allow a certain number of carbs, you will eat that number. Unfortunately, I cannot eat to a clock to some degree because I work outside of my home and to have to pack my food. I do practice intermittent fasting, but it is more planned because of scheduling. However, if I have a fast planned and I'm not feeling it, I will break it early or go longer if I feel I like it. That is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
What I did today is I weighed all my food, ate, and then I tracked it. I came in under macros, but was surprised I did eat almost a 1-to-1. So I think I know more than I realize. I don't think we're meant to overthink this, but coming from a lifetime of dieting, it's hard not to. Curious how this plays out.
That is great.
So, yes, again, it comes to, we're not worried about under eating because, again, like we said, when we do any type of fasting day, not eating a lot, on the day we eat, we ravenously eat. We eat a lot of food, pretty much enough to make up for the day that we weren't eating. But when you're not giving yourself a lot of fuel, that's allowing your body to do some work because you're not giving it a lot of fuel. It allows your body to work off of the fat that you have stored on your body. But you do, again, fat is important. You need to make sure you're getting in enough fat. Fat primes the pump. And Rachel and I were even talking about this the other day. Like, I have a hybrid car. If you have a hybrid car, not a plug-in hybrid, but a regular hybrid car where where it regenerates itself. I have a Hyundai Elantra hybrid. So if you ever sit in a hybrid car, when you first turn it on, you hear nothing.
Yeah.
You're on battery power.
You're like, is this thing on?
And then after a couple of minutes, the engine turns on. Why is the engine turning on?
Because really,
the battery's not dead yet.
No, but it wants to use that gas and like save this reserve of the electric.
Yeah, so it pumps on. The engine pumps on. The engine turns on to help regenerate and keep that battery going. And that's kind of like what fat does in our body. So we need to make sure we're doing enough. And even, kind of referring back to the other one too. Yeah, we're not meant to be like panicking over numbers. I'm sorry, and I will argue this with anybody who wants to argue with me to the day I die. We are not designed to be counting stuff. We're not.
Well,
we were never designed to, oh my gosh, you're supposed to be eating 500 calories. Oh my gosh, when you sit down, you're only supposed to eat this. No, we're designed to eat until we're full. The problem is all of the different processed foods that we started incorporating, it made it more difficult. But when you shift to whole food, focusing on meat, the way our ancestors did, our ancestors didn't count. And I'm not talking about caveman ancestors. I'm talking about, go back to Little House on the Prairie time. Nobody in Little House on the Prairie time were sitting there going, okay, I'm supposed to eat 110 grams of protein and I'm supposed to eat 65 carbohydrates. They ate.
You ate when you could.
Right.
You ate what you got, right? Like if it was, based on the seasons, things were a little different, right? Yeah, absolutely. You ate what was local, like all of that stuff. And I do know, and you sense it, that living stressed out and constantly in worry and fear, it doesn't feel right. Like you just know, I shouldn't be this upset. It should not be this fearful for me to think to myself, we're going to go to KetoCon this week. Therefore, I have to leave my home kitchen and now I probably won't be successful. Like I want to go to KetoCon feeling like, okay, I'm going to eat meat. I'm going to prioritize the protein and the fat. I may have a little bit of veggies while we're out and leave the house, but I am not going to say, well, if I have to leave my home kitchen and the scale to weigh all my food, I can't go outside and have relationships. I can't go and learn something new. I can't go get some hugs this week because I have to be away from everything that I use to track all my food.
Yeah.
Right?
I just saw this from Rickwin.
Hey, Rickwin.
And this is perfect. He said, Jesse, Joe and Rachel are a lot healthier than the patients of Dr. Westman. He works with type 2 diabetics and heart patients. Once you're healthier, then you can add more fasting.
That's a good point.
Goes back to what I just said. When you first get started, do not worry about fasting when you first get started. Yeah, and that's the thing we have to remember when we look at all of the different doctors within the keto space. People, well, why does this doctor differ from this doctor? I think they're both doctors. And I'm not naming names because I don't want to start controversy.
No, my Lord.
But what happens is we have to remember, I want to turn that off. What happens is we have to remember that different doctors within the keto space are focusing on different types of patients. Like Dr. Boz really focuses on severely obese people where their insulin resistance is so bad that just doing basic keto isn't going to help them.
No.
It may take them 6 months to a year to even start producing ketones.
Right.
So we have to look at where are we and then look at what is that doctor really trying to accomplish with what patients. You can't watch one video and go, oh, that's the answer.
Right.
You have to go back and look at overall, what is the message that particular doctor is trying to share? None of the doctors that you see are wrong, regardless of like what their message is. They're all trying to teach different people, and the different methods that they're using works for different people. Okay, next one is from Mark.
Hey Mark, I've been having low blood sugars lately. I have been stable since reversing diabetes 9 months ago, but the last 3 weeks I've been getting really low scores. I typically score around 86, but lately have been dropping down into the high 60s. My diet and exercise intensity have not changed in this last year. Should I introduce more carbs into my diet or reduce the intensity of my workouts or maybe eliminate intermittent fasting? I'm not too worried about dropping into the hypoglycemic range, but it's definitely something I want to avoid. Any advice would be appreciated.
Number one, you don't need to reintroduce carbs. You don't need carbs. Your carbs are not something that your body needs.
No.
Your body needs a touch of sugar in its blood, but it can make itself. And when it needs it, it will make it. Again, we are not doctors, nurses, or health professionals, but from everything I've read and I've understood and I've learned, high 60s, you're fine. I mean, Dr. Boss has talked about this all the time. Again, that's just what I've learned, but go check out some of the doctors. I don't know what the intensity of your workouts are. We've talked about you don't want to tax your heart too much. You know, that cardio isn't going to help you lose weight. It's just great for your lungs. It's great for your circulatory system.
Your feelings.
For making you feel good, but it's not going to help you lose weight. Building muscle is what helps you lose weight, but it's not something I would really worry about. But please don't reintroduce carbohydrates. You might need a little bit more protein.
Yes, well, that was my thought, was a little
know?
bit of protein. That's something that even Dr. Sivas had me do in the morning to get the numbers up a little bit.
Next one's from Mai.
Hey, Mai.
It is strange that instead of making plans to work on exercise and eating habits, the doctors just talk about upping my medication and adding additional medication. I get it. Our healthcare system is busy and healthcare professionals are always swamped because I am one of them. I'm not a doctor, do not claim to have the expertise, but I would like to think they would ask, hey, what are your eating habits looking like? Nope. One thing I hear is, how many more meds can I stuff you with?
I remember Dr. Lenskis, when we talked to him, had said that, the thought of deprescription is still very new. He had been practicing medicine for 20 years and was like, we don't normally see that. We see, an upward glide. And, the doctors are, they want their patients to live. And if you're thinking that deprescribing medicine is dangerous, then you're not thinking that's the first thing I'm going to do is deprescribe, right? So it was a hard journey, I think, for him. And I think for a lot of other doctors to come to the thought that your nutrition was going to result in you having to deprescribe medicine. And as we see people do things like beef, butter, bacon, and egg, where you've really got an elimination situation, the deprescription of medicine goes pretty fast. It's almost like you have to have your eyes on your numbers with every meal because it's going down. But I will say that we have noticed that when we take our animals to the vet always asks, what is this fur baby or feathered baby eating? Because they realize it does matter.
Yeah, so I think that, yes, I think doctors should be focusing more on what are your eating habits, but in just talking to a lot of doctors, I think one of the reasons, and this is just my personal opinion, that they stopped asking is because they don't trust anything that comes out of our mouth.
Ooh, that's probably true.
I think they don't trust us because, you see people well, we'll tell our doctor anything. Well, what are you talking about? I'm eating the right things. And then we're going home and we're not. So I think that that's part of it. And then also there is a little bit of they're super busy. But then the other thing is we have to remember with doctors is they're dictated by the insurance companies.
Yes.
Dr. Lenskis talked about this, that if you don't do certain things, the insurance companies go, well, hey, we're not going to pay for this. And even in talking to Dr. Hampton yesterday, he was talking about he has to be so careful when notating charts that I'm not putting this person on a statin because their calcium score is a 0.
Yeah.
He's like, I have to notate in the chart because the insurance companies go, their cholesterol is here, therefore statin. You don't put them on a statin, we don't pay you. So he has to put all of these special notations explaining why he is not doing it. And unfortunately, it's easier for a doctor to go, listen, protocol says we do this, so we're just doing it.
I mean, if you guys have watched our video on
so don't blame the doctors too much.
What our labs look like, when you see my total cholesterol, yeah, my doctor would have to really justify why he's not going to put me on some sort of cholesterol medicine. That like, hey, I'm looking at the big picture of all these other markers in Rachel's life, and that's why I know it looks like when you see that total cholesterol number, that woman needs to be on a ton of stuff, right? So you would have to make a case for not giving me medicine or upping it. That's crazy.
Next one is from Candy.
Hey, Candy. I was listening to a podcast that Joe and Rachel did with Life's Best Medicine.
Dr. Lenskis.
And Rachel said the best thing I've heard in a while. While I am nostalgic for some of the foods that I used to eat, I am not nostalgic for how they made me feel. I linked it. If you haven't listened to it yet, it was really good. Thank you so much for sharing that. What a privilege to be on his podcast.
Yeah. Next one is from Jennifer.
Hey, Jennifer.
Jennifer said, I have some questions about macros. I have looked at a couple of different eco calculators, and I'm just confused about what carbs, fat, protein, and need to stay up, because I'm getting different numbers, one calculator. So I should be at 16, and then I think they meant net carbs. Then I count total, not net. And I got in different amounts as far as fat and protein. Last one I used said 72 for protein, 98 for fat in terms of grams, and then 16 for carbs. But again, I think it's net carbs, which I do total, like I said. I'm just not sure what I should be aiming for. Still trying to get my calories up to no less than 1,200, but I'm coming up with plans on how to do that. My stepmom was asking me if I thought that I could do 30 carbs, and I didn't think so because I still have 30 or 40 pounds to lose. And I think until I do that, I really need to stay at like 20 or less and try and stick with low-carb vegetables or berries in terms of produce. And a lot of those I know those carbs and can add up quickly, even if they're lower carb veggies. So I'm wondering what strategies other people have used. Tomorrow, for example, I'm planning on doing maybe eggs in the morning with some collagen coffee. That may be really low, like maybe 5 carbs for the whole thing, because I think that the bacon's 3 and the 2 eggs together 1, and then the collagen 2, so I guess maybe 6. That's not bad for one meal. I don't know how accurate my FitnessPal tracking is. If it feels off to me, sometimes also doing light activity on most days, but not consuming the calories I burn from that, again, to be helpful. Okay, so a lot to unpack here.
Right.
So pretty quickly, I'm going to just go over this. Number one, don't use MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal, I think, is one of the worst tracking things out there. Not because it doesn't track well, but because when you input stuff in, a lot of the information in there has been added by other people, and people lie. Can't put it any nicer than that. People lie. They go in and they, for example, they'll put in erythritol. Well, erythritol is 0 net carbs. So when they enter in their erythritol, they enter it in 0 total carbs. It's not 0 total carbs. It's not. It's not 0 calories, but they enter it in that way. And then we go and enter it in, and we think we're doing better than we actually are. So we always suggest using Chronometer. I think that's the best one. I know that it's a little bit more difficult. We have a video on how to use it, but Chronometer, everything is like double checked to make sure it's right and accurate. But when it comes to macros, none of the macro calculators work well. None of them. For a lot of reasons. First of all, they're basing everything off of ratios, which you should not really be looking at ratios. So they'll say you should eat 5% carbs. And yeah, most of the time they're doing net carbs unless they allow you to put total carbs. They're going to tell you 5% net carbs, but if you're eating 3,000 calories, 5% carbs is a lot of carbs. So that's first of all. Second, they don't know you. You can put in basic information, but they don't know where's your metabolism at. How much muscle do you have? How much fat do you have? It doesn't know any of that stuff. What is your dieting history?
How sick are you?
Where should you start? I'm going to tell you what we tell everybody. Start with 80 to 100 grams of protein minimum, averaging per day. Start with a minimum of 80 to 100 grams of fat, and then increase fat from there.
Yeah.
That increase fat from there. Give yourself more fat. 1-to-1 should be your minimum. Usually, we're going to do really well at like 2 grams of fat to 1 gram of protein, sometimes 3 grams of fat to 1 gram of protein. The way you can increase the amount of calories, which we don't really do calories, or the amount of fuel and energy you're giving yourself that's going to keep you going, is by adding fat. And adding fat is easier than adding a bunch of protein. We need protein, but protein will really fill you up quickly.
In the meal.
And then fat will help you get to the next meal. But, like if you add 2 tablespoons of butter, which is not that difficult to eat 2 tablespoons of butter, you've just added 200 calories. You've added 20 grams of fat. So you're doing really well there. It's very easy to add in extra fat. But we do not need carbohydrates. So when it comes to carbs, we just tell you eat as few as possible. One day it may be 5, one day it may be 15. When it comes to veggies, if you're eating leafy green vegetables, don't worry about that.
That wasn't the problem.
Unless
food.
that's a lot of your food. When you sit down to eat, you should focus on your meat. And then if you still want some veggies after you're done with all your meat. So if you put a 10-ounce ribeye on your plate, eat that before you touch your salad.
Yeah. Meats before treats.
Don't eat your salad first because then you may not have room for the meat and then you're not going to get all the nutrition you need. Eat the meat first.
Who would think that we would get to the point in our life where the salad is the treat?
Yeah.
The vegetable is the treat. Meat before treats.
Next one's from Marie.
Hey Marie, I've been making keto chow ice cream in my Ninja Creamy, but lately they've been turning out powdery. I've spun them twice or sometimes I spin once and then hit re-spin button. Does anybody have any suggestions?
Number one, make sure you're putting in enough fat. The less fat you put in, the more powdery it's going to be, the more times you're going to have to respin. It'll turn pretty much anything to an ice cream, but how long it takes is some of that is determined by that fat.
Ice milk is what you're getting.
Yeah. I have found 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter, 3 to 4 ounces of heavy whipping cream is absolutely perfect. The way we do our keto chow ice cream in the Ninja Creamy is I just spin it twice on light ice cream, and almost every time it comes out perfect. I don't have to do any respins at all.
How much of that gum do you put in it?
A quarter of a teaspoon.
But
even like the ones we did when we got the raspberry cheesecake, there was no tarragon in there.
No, there wasn't.
So it's literally just put it in there, spin it on light ice cream twice, which unless it's really heavy in fat, always use light ice cream. It's just the way the machine works. So light ice cream twice and then maybe one respin, but most of the time I don't need to do a respin at all. And that works. Some people will add a little bit of liquid. Some people will leave it out. But I can pull it right out of the freezer, 2 spins on light ice cream, and it's almost always perfect.
Should you be giving advice since you broke the lid on ours?
I know. That's just taking it apart. Next one's from Jeannie.
Hey, Jenny. Yesterday, I was telling a friend about how I'm eating now, triple B and E, and that eventually I think I'll be keto. She said the problem with keto is that it stops being effective if you stop eating that way. I laughed and asked how that was different than any other diet. That's
Exactly.
really true. Diet as in a way of eating. I also said that I thought veggies and meat sounded like a healthy, sustainable way to eat for a lifetime. That's good. I also think carnivore is healthy and sustainable for me for the long term, but I didn't mention that as she doesn't eat much meat. I was listening to her talk about various health problems she's having, and I just kept thinking, eat more fatty meat and cut all the heavier carbohydrates and you'd be mostly fine. But she did ask me to keep her up to date on how I'm doing, especially with a couple of issues we have that are the same. Hopefully they'll resolve themselves and she'll be more open to keto. What a good perspective.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think it's funny when anytime somebody says, well, you're going to gain it all back if you go off of keto. But isn't that the case on any diet?
Yeah.
That's why we say this is not a diet, it's a lifestyle.
Right.
It's a lifestyle. Yeah, if I were to go back to eating the way we were eating before, 300, 400 grams of carbohydrates, a lot of sugar and processed foods, yeah, I'm going to gain my weight back.
My hair will fall out if I stop eating protein.
Right.
Right?
But if you are on a standard diet where you just decrease the amount of food you're eating and you increase the exercise, what happens when you increase the food? We gain all our weight back. That's the yo-yo dieting. So the whole idea here is that won't happen if we take these principles and continue them for the rest of our life. And I love it. Just keep her up to date. Again, something we talked about with Dr. Hampton, we can't push this on people. And it may take 6 months or a year to get our friends and our family members to jump on, maybe even longer. But a lot of times they just see this as another fad in our life.
Yeah.
And we have to lead by example.
Well, and if you've been friends for a long time, you know, that impacts it too. I mean, it took a while for like my friend Beth, and we went to high school together. So Lord knows she's been with me through 30 diets at least.
Right.
So of course it wasn't like her first thing to like jump on with me in like a lower carb protocol, because she had seen me go up and down. But I really like how you said, it seems to me like meat and vegetables and, eating that seems pretty sustainable. We're used to that mentality of like, well, it's got to end at some point because we're on like a slim fast diet, right? And you're like, well, I can't see that. First of all, will this kind of fad diet like a slim fast be on the market for the rest of my life? I'm not sure. And of course it seems like something that's ridiculous to have to continue.
Next one's from Rita.
Hey, Rita.
I don't know who, if anyone besides me, needs to hear this, but things do get easier. There are good days and bad. However, twice this week I was able to go into a restaurant, order a low-carb meal, and have tempting food on the table in front of me with no desire to eat them. I can't say for sure that even a month ago that would have happened. I'm proud of where I am and where I'm going. I have had struggles and setbacks, but I've always moved forward on some part of this journey, and that is amazing to me.
Wow. And Rita, I am so thankful for you. I'm really excited to get to meet you in person at KetoCon. But you've been so faithful to share in the Mighty Networks group when you've had a bad day. And when it's like, and this progression of your keto journey, so that we know for sure that this is a seriously big win. This is victory because you've been so vulnerable, like the entire part of your journey.
Right.
And like, that's where like developing these friendships within the keto community is so important because I know what this means.
Yeah.
I know that this was a hard fought battle and it is a true and powerful victory.
And that's why the Mighty Network group is so important. If you are not a member, please go join. It's free. Now, you can support us there if you want financially, which we appreciate. We had a live stream with our all of our channel supporters yesterday. We were talking about I was doing my taxes, and going to these conferences is expensive.
It is, but
and when you guys support us, that helps us to get to these conferences. But it's really great because you can jump in there at any time and you can have people talk you off the ledge. It's like having, a 12-step program right there for you. There is always someone. You have a sponsor. Your sponsor is the entire group.
Now, is it different? Is it different? Is there a learning curve? Is it like challenging to use a new platform when other platforms we're kind of used to, like Facebook and stuff? Is it different than Twitter?
But every other post isn't an ad.
Yes, it is different. Yes, there is a learning curve. But in order for me to get community, I want it badly enough that I will figure out like how to use this thing. Yeah. If I have to use the computer, and sometimes I do because I can't figure out stuff. I am the lowest tech person you're ever going to meet. So sometimes I have to go onto the computer to make it work the way I want to. Sometimes I can do stuff on my phone and it works fine. But for me, it's like, it's worth it to like get there, to get to the people and to have those relationships.
Speaking of which, Cookie asked,
hey Cookie,
first, is Facebook group for paying members only? I've been pending for a few weeks. Second, the family group $10 shows closed for membership. It should not be closed for membership. I will double check that.
Yeah.
No. Facebook is completely free. If you get declined on Facebook, it is because you didn't answer the questions.
Yeah.
And most importantly, so if you answer all of the questions and agree to the rules, it should automatically approve you. If you don't answer a question, and most importantly, don't agree to the rules where you type, yes, I agree, it will not approve you automatically, and either us or one of our moderators need to go in and approve you. I will tell you that we have instructed our moderators, and I know for sure, because I did it, I'm probably the one that denied you, because I did a whole bunch of them the other day. If you don't hit I agree to the rules, we will deny you.
Yeah.
You have to agree to the rules. They're simple rules. Like you're not allowed to make video posts. No yucking somebody's yum, that you're going to respect people. They're simple rules. But if you don't agree to the rules, we won't approve you into the group. So just go type I agree. So if you got denied, go reapply. Make sure you answer all the questions. They're simple questions like how long have you been doing keto? It's just like a get to know you kind of thing. And then it's also to make sure that you're not a bot.
One of the things that was annoying about Facebook and was definitely a catalyst for us to go to Mighty Networks is also sometimes you get denied because you haven't had a Facebook account for a while.
Yeah.
We were getting that, like people were saying that they were getting denied because it was they were still like on the fringe of like Facebook didn't know if you were a bot or not, or if you're a real person, you know, that was authenticated because you hadn't had a Facebook account for long enough.
Yeah.
So...
And then Facebook was kicking people out because they were using the word fat.
Right, as like butter fat.
One more from Juliana.
Hey, Jujube.
Said, might be on the wall in a school, but I think we can all take this and learn from it. Says, change your mindset. I have other strategies that I haven't tried yet. I'm resilient and learn from my mistakes. Challenges grow my brain, so this will get easier. I don't quit until it's my best work. I'm learning. I just need more practice. I will find resources to help me. Feedback helps me improve. I'm going to train my brain in how to do this, and I can do difficult
Now,
things.
leave that up for a second because
people can't see us.
Well, I love the fact that it's saying, what are some of the negative speak that we need to get rid of? If you are still saying to yourself, I want to quit. I hate when I mess up. I'll never get it. This is good enough. I am so dumb. I'll never get this. I can't do this. This is too difficult. That is the negative speak. And we know what is a sentence that is not helpful, but it keeps going over and over in our brain. Like that is what we need to work on this month. This month, our focus is us versus lack. Us thinking to ourselves, I want to think about positive things. I want to think about what I do have going for me, what I can do, and how I can move forward. If I focus on the negative, like where I'm not at yet, then I am just going to quagmire myself. It is not helpful and it doesn't propel you.
Yeah, I'm looking up there. It's saying the stream bit rate is a little bit lower. We're going to try to do some comments now, some chat. Sabrina said,
Hey,
not
Sabrina.
able to go to KetoCon, but we did get our tickets for the Indie Meetup in May 6th. Really excited to see everyone. Yeah.
How nice.
Head on over to Mighty Networks, and I think they also have it on Facebook. And there is a link for you to be able to go to the Indie Meetup. I think there's a small cost for the venue and that kind of thing. But definitely go do that. Keto Vor Karen said,
hi, Karen.
Yeah, my depression is lifted and I haven't had a panic attack since keto.
You don't have to tell me that, like, okay, so should that be a reason why I should stay keto? Because I am the same boat that you're in, Karen, that it's like, since keto, no more panic attacks. If you've lived where it was like constantly a battle with anxiety, depression, social anxiety, the fact that you can go out of your home and be confident that you're gonna leave and not have a panic attack, like, yes, give me the burger, another steak over here, this girl right here, bacon, eggs, I'm in. I'm in.
Next one's from Kathy. She said,
Kathy.
I followed your advice. I got off the couch and got some movement in. I pulled weeds and raked in the yard. I'm so sorry now. I can't move. I didn't realize what a couch potato I became.
And that's all right. You'll get better every single day, right? You're growing muscles, but it is hard. It is challenging. And a lot of times I'm like you, I don't realize when it's like it's been something I haven't done in a long time.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was honestly surprised because I love swimming how exhausted I was after the 2 dives.
Yeah.
But like you're swimming different.
Well, your second dive, you were swimming into the current because the current switched.
You're swimming different though. And you're carrying stuff and everything.
Yeah. Teresa said, I'm so proud of you both. The video of your results was amazing and inspirational.
Thanks so much, Teresa.
Jujube said, hoarders made me feel better about about too much junk.
Oh my gosh.
Same thing. So much crap gone, and I'm so much better.
Okay, so Jujube, you nailed me right there because that was definitely something I have tried to practice more minimalism in the last couple of years and get rid of a lot of stuff. I think that part of my issue for me personally was just like a poverty mentality that like I need stuff, I need things, because I grew up, like we grew up poor and stuff like that, and so you were constantly like the accumulation of things was like I'm doing better. So, I'm like more confident in this area. I don't know why. But yes, so I would know. I would feel to myself like, Rachel, you need to get rid of some stuff. It is not good to have this much clutter. You do not need 4 raincoats. One will do it.
Can you remember that when you
But
pack?
I know, but I would not get rid of stuff. And then I'd watch hoarders and be like, see, Joe, I'm not there yet.
Susie said,
Hey,
non-scale
Susie.
victory failed. The last month and a half I've been eating higher protein, lower fat. My anxiety has skyrocketed. Even while I'm writing this, I'm shaking and weepy. I have to get back to higher fat.
Higher
Yes,
fat.
especially if you're doing keto for cognitive function, for your brain, for mental health. You need to be eating higher fat. That doesn't mean lower your protein. It means eat more fat.
That's right. That's right. You don't, it's not a seesaw.
But I'm glad you're recognizing that.
It's not a seesaw. So you don't have to be like, I got to drop that protein and up that fat. You can leave the protein and then, raise the fat.
Keto Cajun Angel said,
Hi.
hello friends, Homer, Louisiana here.
Welcome.
My husband has finally got on board with me. I have had so many people say that, oh, keto is not good for you. I say, it works for me and I feel better. That's the answer.
Own it. I'm sorry. I feel good. I am not going to go back to not feeling good because you're not comfortable with what's on my plate.
Yeah. Okay, so Cindy said, I'm not
Hey, Cindy.
interested in drinking ketones. Been there, done that, would rather make my own.
Yeah.
This is not for drinking ketones. This is, if we make a video about it, you'll learn more about it, but this is not, you're not drinking this to get ketones. You're drinking this like, hey, I want to go to a social function. I want to enjoy an alcoholic beverage, but I don't want
To drink
all
alcohol?
of the negative effects that come from drinking an alcoholic beverage, like bad for my liver, the toxins, the fact that it is going to kick you out of ketosis and ketogenesis because your body is dealing with the alcohol. This is basically, it's an ethanol-free alcohol, and the ingredients in this turn into ketones in your body, but it gives you a similar effect to having an alcoholic drink.
There you go.
So it's an ethanol-free alcohol. So you're not drinking this to have ketones. As a matter of fact, if you drink this, you're going to maybe get a little bit happier. They even says like, don't drive if you're on this. You may, it's almost like having like that feeling like, hey, I had a glass of wine. That's what it's going to do.
But it's not really that feeling of like.
But it's not like I'm drinking ketones for like higher brain function.
And it's
this is not going to do that for
like
you.
I want to strip down and run down my block and have a lampshade on my head.
Yeah, so it's where, hey, I feel like having a glass of wine with dinner. You would have this instead.
There you go.
And you're not getting all of the negative things from drinking standard alcohol because it has no ethanol in it. Joanna said, do you know what a good body fat is for good for a 62-year-old female, 5'7"? I say 20-25%, and told that's too low. It could be that would be a low body fat for women. Remember, women are supposed to have higher body fat than men. You're supposed to have higher body fat.
I'm supposed to have more body fat.
Everybody is different, though. Everybody is different. How do you feel? How do you look? If you're at 20 or 25% body fat, I think you're doing really, really well. I would definitely not be shooting for anything lower than that, in my personal opinion.
I'm with Lori. Lori says, Joe, no dissing our packing. We have no idea what Texas weather will bring. I'm with Lori. You're right. Instead of a mood
You're
ring.
You're staying in a house. You can wash your clothes.
I am a mood packer. I don't know if I'm going to want to wear orange or blue.
Make the decision now.
I can't make the decision on if it's red or yellow day. I need to know when I wake up and I'm like, Rachel, today you're purple.
I'm downsizing our cabin on the cruise to make you pack
You
less.
bet not. You know what?
We have a small cabin.
You know what the response is going to be? I'm going to have me all them packing cubes.
I saw they had this thing that you can bid on a bigger room.
Bid.
And I thought about it.
Bid, baby.
I was going to do it. And then they're like, yeah, no, you have to, whatever your bid is, it's times 2 because it's per person.
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, no.
Can it just be
a bigger room for Rachel to bring more stuff is not worth an extra $1,000.
Can I have just me and my suitcase be 2 people in the room, and then we can play Love Boat?
Yeah.
Like where we meet on the boat, Joe. How about that? You get your own room.
Keto Cajun Angel said, thank you for saying don't rely on a scale. My clothes are fitting looser, but from last week I've lost 0.2 pounds. Walking and strength training makes sense since I am losing fat, but not on the scale.
So I really want people to see this because 0.2 pounds is like, it's so small, but actually feeling looser in your clothes. You're thinking to yourself, in order for me to feel like my shirt isn't like on me like saran wrap, I'm going to have to lose 5 pounds. I'm going to have to lose 5 or 10 pounds to lose a size. And that I can honestly tell you, and it surprised me as well, I went down in sizes way before I saw any movement on the scale. And I find that, like, for women, it's especially true.
Yeah.
Especially true.
Joanna said, I saw that video and I realized I've been eating OMAD. Now I'm more conscious of my hunger signals. The longest I fasted was 90 hours. I may try an extended fast again.
And you always have that opportunity, because again, you're not doing it to your watch, and you can say, like, okay, I think I'm kind of hungry. All right, it ends here. Instead of being like, well, this is a chore that I have to do it.
Yeah. Carnivore Kip Barbecue in Cast Iron said, have you seen my journey yet? I'm taking back my health. I was almost 500 pounds in January, and today I'm down 67
Way
pounds.
to go. You're amazing.
Cindy said, my cardiologist marked my chart that I'm allergic to statins after telling them
that's smart.
while taking them in the past I had arm pain so bad I couldn't raise my arm without the pain.
That is great. Thank you for sharing that, because somebody's going to be able to utilize that same kind of pro tip for them to get out of a statin.
Yeah.
And just say, like, you could say, I'm not doing it. You could tell to the doctor, I am not taking the statin that you're prescribing because I'm allergic to it, because I have these pains. And I can tell you, like, we've heard so much, like, from people who were on statins, that, like, how painful it is. Like, it's very, very painful. That's a great tip.
Amelia said, do you like any kind of collagen coffee creamers, or is it no good?
Yeah, I do.
We like the Perfect Keto
I
ones.
love the Perfect Keto one. I really do. And I like, for the collagen
and the
drinks,
Keto Brains you really like.
I really
Somebody
like that.
sent us the Keto
Should
Brains.
I get that back so you can see
you're
it?
almost out.
Oh,
We're
okay.
almost out of time. Who sent us that?
Lord, I can't remember.
I'm sorry that we don't remember who it
Thank you
was.
for sharing it.
But that is so good, and one of the reasons we trusted it, again, back to Keto Brick, is Robert actually did a partnership with them
For the nootropic,
which there is still nootropic on the website.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of my favorite flavors. It tastes like a vanilla pineapple icing. But yeah, so the fact that Robert was eating it, I'm like, yep, gonna be a good product, because he won't put anything in his body that's not a good product. And we really do like that. Keto Cajun Angel said, my doctor wanted to put me on a statin and metformin. I told him no. He said he has to tell me this. I saw a knot in my file. I refused to go on these meds. January, A1C 7.3, March 6.3.
Wow.
And I feel great.
That is awesome. And so, so you're having that dialogue with the doctor, knowing that the doctor has to go through these motions in order for them to keep in good standing with all these medical boards. You know, like, you love your doctor and you want them to still be in business. Well, they're governed by these other, organizations that haven't quite got on board with keto yet, right? So they're doing their best, so we can work with them and say, like, yep, I saw it. You gave me the literature. You told me this, what you wanted me to go on, but I am, as the patient, am saying no.
Yeah. Andy said, I got the
Andy.
keto flu today after really rough 2 months of losses. Finally got over the hump and saying no to carbs again.
You can do
And I'll
it.
take an upset stomach today.
I'm sorry.
Make
I
sure
hope
you're
you
getting
feel
in enough
better.
sodium. Okay.
I hate
and
you
electrolytes.
feeling sick.
Bird Loves Pain said,
Hey.
hardest part of moving to a new place is finding doctors who will not try to talk me out of keto. So far, I've met 3, and I introduced them to my success and have watched them look up keto.
Wow, that is interesting. Like, that's really good. And I'm telling you, I've heard a lot of people are starting to leverage teledocs even for certain, doctors, because it just makes it easier. And then if you don't live in an area where there's a bunch of keto doctors, it's just nice that you have that option.
Yeah. Any more here? Jesse said, have you ever tried a keto chow flavor in your egg loaf recipe? I think about it, not sure which flavor or how much to use. So yeah, we have done the egg loaf where we make that, like, it's basically like a French toast.
It's
and
good.
I have added in a package of keto chow. It makes it firmer and brings whatever flavor. You could use any one of the sweet flavors. and it comes out really good.
Really yummy.
Denise said half marathon yesterday.
Yes!
Totally fat adapted and fasted.
Woof!
Had my Redmond salt in my pouch and my electrolytes. Stopped to help a marathon with some salt for his cramping. I am 61. I
Love this lifestyle. Denise! And doesn't it make you feel so good? Not just that like you're doing well, but that you can help others. I know that some of the things that tickle Joe the most is like when you're officiating a game and you're able to alert a coach that there is a better alternative than Gatorade for their players. Like that is something that like anytime, and then we've gotten a lot of feedback from different coaches that are like, our kids love like the Element and the Redmond Relay. Like they really love it. In fact, one of the coaches recently was like, they don't want Gatorade anymore. They asked for Element. I love it.
My buddy Hugh, who is my instructor and he runs the shop that I go to, I gave him a bunch of Element. I'm like trading him Element for dives now. I gave him a bunch of Element and he drank it on a dive, right before a dive. And then he came up and he's like, in the past he would drink Gatorade. And he came up, he was like, I'm never touching Gatorade again. He was like, I feel so much better. I would get sick on the Gatorade. And I'm like, because the sugar dehydrates you. Gatorade, it's not, for those of us who are older, Gatorade today is not what it was when it first came out.
Right.
It's sugar water. They just have really good marketing and people buy it, but it is not good. Even the sugar-free versions is not good to replace your electrolytes. It doesn't have anything good in it. It has a little bit of sodium. We did a video years ago, and to get 1,000 milligrams, you had to drink like 32 servings of it.
Now here you go.
1,000 milligrams of potassium.
Now there's somebody in your life that's not keto, that they just tried the electrolytes, okay? You think to yourself, you don't realize you've probably planted a seed of keto in that person's heart, because if you were right about the electrolytes, could it be possible that Joe is right about something else besides the electrolytes and give that a try, right? Like, I think that sometimes we're wanting everybody to like eat the way we're eating, like take on our lifestyle, hook, line, and sinker, but you have the opportunity to start planting seeds in people's lives in other things. Like just as you're switching maybe to like glass Tupperware instead of plastic, or you're starting to be like, okay, like here's the electrolytes that we're using, right? I mean, these little things have a big impact in people's lives.
Yeah. Tracy said, what a great analogy of a hoarder. The accumulation of stuff gives you the feeling of doing better in life.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. I needed to hear that to tell my sister.
I'm glad that like that helps somebody, because it's kind of embarrassing to admit, but like that, I think that was definitely connected to me not being able to let things go.
Yeah. Okay, we are going to get off. We thank you guys so much for joining us for Keto Beyond the Couch today. We will be live. I'm not sure if it's going to be Wednesday or Thursday, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell button so that you're notified. We just don't know quite what the schedule is for a Thursday night. But we are landing in Austin somewhere around 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday. So we're going to try to go live one of those 2 days, and we're just not quite sure which one. But we really appreciate everybody for joining us. You are going to see our grandbaby.
I am. I'm going to get one more.
I have to finish taxes.
Baby, I think I'm definitely getting the bigger end of this stick. But just a friendly reminder, if you're going to KetoCon, I can't wait to see you. And if you're okay with a hug, then like, you know, I'm coming in hot. So like if you are not comfortable with a hug, give me one of these so that I know not to just run in and attack.
Have a great day, guys.
We love you.